Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Saturday travel marketeering session. I'm so excited. If you are joining me live, good morning, good morning, good morning. And of course, you could be watching this on our YouTube channel any time of the day. So just welcome to you. Thank you for being part of this. I am your host, Joshua Harrell. I am the Chief Revenue Officer over at World Via Travel Network. And just like you, I am responsible for marketing, sales, service delivery, right? Sound familiar? So you're a chief revenue officer, I'm sure, in your role. But here we're talking specifically about marketeering. And marketeering is selling your products and services through a marketing system. And what makes this specific to you is this is travel marketeering. So we're talking about selling travel, building your business, marketing your business, your products and services through systems. So most Saturdays, I am here talking to you about different topics, all about marketing and sales, service delivery, all kind of wrapping that up into the different systems it takes to, or the systems that I would recommend for your business to help you not only be able to market your business, but also create the systems so you're not having to think about it all the time, right? So if you create a system, it can kind of move on its own. And then if something is a little off, you can tweak that little thing. Or if something is going really well, you can do more of that thing. But you are selling travel, you are managing your business, all the aspects of your business. So marketing can't be this thing that you stop and start. It has to be a continuous effort. Otherwise, you'll have a start and stop with the flow of your leads. So that's the whole premise behind travel marketeering, creating the system, the marketing system to sell your products and services. So you are travel marketeers. I have now dubbed the travel marketeers. In today's session, we're going to talk specifically about, I have to look at my notes, I do know, but the title of this session is Exploring Strategies for Effective Lead Nurturing. Okay, so we're going to discuss how to, the communication strategies to engage leads throughout their decision-making process. And we're going to talk about that decision-making process. We're going to learn how to capture leads' interest and highlight your unique value. Very, very important. And then learn how to convert leads into loyal clients and how to nurture those clients with effective communications. Okay. A lot of this is based on what is right for you. So I can never make a statement that fits every business. Nor can I make a statement about you and where your mindset is. You might be a super sales and marketer already. And maybe you're looking for just that little nugget of something that maybe you've overlooked. And some of you may say, I'm a terrible marketer, but you're actually fantastic at marketing. You don't speak the language, therefore you feel like an outsider. Well, no matter where you are in that spectrum or beyond, you are welcome here. And this is a Saturday. So you know what? I'm gonna pop my collar. It's a Saturday. Saturday. I don't know, that's a song. I might break out in song at any point. But throughout the session, if you have a question, the chat is disabled during this webinar, but the Q&A is not. Therefore, you just need to go down below and click on the Q&A, drop your question, or it could be a comment. I love those. So drop those in and I'll refer back to those throughout our session. Also, if you feel bold, and you want to talk, which I'd love to talk to you, you can raise your hand and I will pop over, unmute you, and we can have a little chin wag. How's that sound? All right, let me get rid of my big old name on the screen because I don't think you need that anymore. Again, Joshua Harrell, hello. So let's get started with talking about engaging your leads throughout their decision-making process. Now, you just to clarify, leads are they're not clients already. They are people that are known to you. So to just put uh, something around that, um, the the people who come to your website and sign up to get your emails, they are leads. Um, they are a little top of the funnel, meaning they're just breezing by. They're kind of interested in you. But you don't know. They're like, I want to see where this relationship might go. Now so essentially they're subscribers, but we can count them as leads because you don't know where they're at. They need to make another move. They need to engage with you somehow to really become an opportunity, somebody who you are selling to. So there's, again, you don't know what stage they're in. And they could be, a lead could be uh, a referral from one of your existing clients, a referral from a friend. Um, it's that little bit of interest. It's a little bit of interest. But going through the stages of the buyer's journey, and this is universal. If you look up buyer's journey in different instances, you'll see different descriptors. But the way I look at it, and the way that we talk about it is awareness and consideration and decision. So people who are aware of your business, which is where you probably spend a lot of energy, is trying to get people aware of your business. Now, things that you might be putting out on social media, as an example, you're putting out content, you maybe see people engage with it. And those people that you see engage with the content, they're at least aware of your business or aware of you. Um, but there's also people discovering you just through searches on the web. Uh, when they are searching for you and they have discovered you, you don't know who they are until they do something, whether that is calling you, whether that is filling out a form on your website to learn more, or downloading your packing tips for a safari in Africa, or subscribing for your newsletter. So they're not a lead until they're known to you. And the reason why I say it that way, and I may say it may sound elementary, but the reason why I say it that way is you a lot of times as a marketer, you feel like you are talking to the world, and the world is full of your leads. I mean, they are full of your leads, but I'm just saying they're not your leads until they're known to you. So whether it is a referral from a client where they're giving you information, or the person does something on your website so they're known to you, they're not really a lead. And at that point, when they are known to you, when they're first known to you, now they might go through the decision-making process pretty fast, or they might go through the buyer's journey pretty fast, or they might go pretty slow. But anybody who is not actively considering hiring you, or buying your services, they are in the awareness stage. Now, if I maybe someone can come in after and do like The more you know, across there with a little rainbow. But let's kind of break that down a little bit. So you've got people in the awareness stage, so they know who you are. They possibly know what they do, what you do. They might have an impression of what you do, or they might clearly know what you do. And the reason why I say it that way is when I go through different websites and in different travel agency websites, sometimes it isn't clear what that agency does. And that means that anybody that has become known to that agency doesn't necessarily know what they do. They know they sell travel, but they might not understand exactly what type of travel you sell or how to work with you, all those different things. You really, that's a separate conversation about making your website your number one salesperson. And by saying that, we mean they are that website is communicating everything you'd want your top salesperson to say. And they're your number one salesperson because it's working 24/7, 365 days out of the year. So I think if we were to honestly evaluate all of our websites, I will even stand up and say that for myself, not all of them do a fantastic job of telling the story. So somebody in the awareness stage is only going to be aware of you a little bit, or it depends on their experience with your website, your marketing, or referrals. So with a referral, obviously somebody who has used your services and has worked with you has been your salesperson in that situation. So the person that maybe fills out that form on your website because they were referred, they're a little more aware of what you do. But people in that awareness stage, once they're known to you, whether it's a phone call, whether it's automated emails, whatever the communication vehicle you need, that awareness stage needs to be filled with making them more aware of what you do. Why? Because the more aware they are of what you do, who you are, who you serve, the more they're aware, then they'll move to that next stage. And that is the consideration stage, right? So now they're considering working with you. Okay. This is not where you have given them a proposal. That's the decision-making stage. The consideration stage is where they've actually said, hey, I want to talk. This is what I want from you. That is the consideration stage. So they might be having that conversation with multiple agencies. Okay. So they're considering you. They may not have gotten to the point where, well, they definitely have not gotten to the point where you have done a proposal, but they are talking to you. They're engaging more with your content. It is more specific. There's something on the line. So this would be Mr. and Mrs. Jones and their trip to Hawaii. Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, they know that they want to go to Hawaii. So now there's a very specific journey that they're on. They're aware of maybe several agencies or advisors. And now they're starting to dig a little bit deeper. They have something they want. So now they're starting to dig a little bit deeper. So those people in the consideration stage, you have talked to them, but you haven't quite gotten to creating a proposal, right? So those people, are you going to talk to them with the same messaging about, oh, I'm Joshua from Joshua's Travel, and we sell Disney experiences. We sell river cruising. Well, that's not where Mr. and Mrs. Jones are at right now. Mr. and Mrs. Jones want to know about Hawaii, and they want to know specifically, are you the right choice for them? So you see how I'm breaking up those two different areas? Awareness content is the broad strokes. We get into the consideration stage, and we're starting to get a little more detailed, a little more nuanced in the communication. All right. Then we get down to the decision making stage. Okay. Now, with decision making stage, are so they have a proposal in hand, or they're deciding whether to pull the trigger to work with you exclusively. So they're not necessarily considering other options, right? They've already been considering other options in terms of who they want to work with. So they want to work with you, but they're trying to make the decision on whether or not they are going to work with you specifically. When we get down to the decision making stage, for the purposes of nurturing, this is not your broad marketing that you might be doing. Like maybe you do a monthly newsletter. The monthly newsletters are not a part of your lead nurturing. In a way, they are nurturing those relationships, past clients, people who are known to you at various different stages in their buyer's journey. But keep that separated in your mind when you're trying to create your communication plans or your communications plans, because the nurturing is very, very specific to someone making that decision to become a customer, that they're on the sprint to become a customer. Maybe it's not a sprint for some people. It might be a longer duration, maybe longer than you would like. But for them, that's their speed, right? You got to meet people where they're at. So with the decision-making stage, this is a little less of the automated emails. This is more the time when you want to get a little more personal. You want to maybe even within your CRM, you set up tasks because you know that this person is deciding to work with you or not. So you make a point to connect with them. If you talk to them one week, maybe you follow up the next week. And it could be an email, it could be a phone call, it could be a text. Through that initial conversation with them, find out how they want to be communicated to, and then incorporate that into a sequence of activities that you're doing to nurture them along. So think of the funnel. You got all these people out in the world, and then a few of them kind of trickle into the top of your funnel. They're aware of you, and then a smaller group are in the consideration stage, and then an even smaller group are deciding whether or not to become a customer. Now, in the decision stage, they are deciding to work with you, and this is where a proposal will come into play, because they're deciding whether they're going to become your customer. So a lot of communication falls into this decision stage, but it's the decision to pull the trigger to work with you, and then also, or to explore the options with you, and then to actually ultimately make that purchase. So when you're mapping out the types of content, if you just think about it in those three different stages, you will be way, way above where the majority of the agencies that you might be competing with, you're way, way above. And I'll tell you that because I know for a fact, if the majority of agencies that I get to talk to on a regular basis will say that they win because they're each of those prospects that come, each of those leads that come in are they're Johnny on the spot. They make sure that they are communicating with them on a regular basis. That is how they win, because other agencies, especially if you're competing against a larger agency or a one that's more established, they kind of take it for granted. A little secret there. They kind of take it for granted that business just falls into their laps, and they might be doing a phenomenal job in terms of their sales, but they're not as hungry as most travel entrepreneurs are. So the reason why I say you're going to be way, way ahead of the game by thinking about your communications when you're nurturing leads in those three different phases, it it's a formula that works. It's a formula that works, but it's one that most agencies and even some that are just getting started don't even put it in, they don't even factor it in. Okay, but you are, because you're here and we're talking about this. Again, if you have any questions, drop it down in the Q&A, because I'm happy to get into some specifics on things, especially if you have a specific question. If you have already looked at your communications in this way and you have content on the in the awareness stage, you've got the consideration type content, and then you've got a strategy around your decision content. I'd love for you to share that in the chat for sure. But that, like I said, that's a huge, huge step up from other agencies if you're thinking about it that way. Again, I just want to reiterate, keep your broader marketing, so your promotional marketing, your newsletters, yeah, even some events that you might have. That's a separate communications plan. That is more of your marketing plan, your communications plan. That is, it's a calendar, and it fits any client or lead, anybody in your mix. Okay. We want to make sure that those communications are flowing. But when someone has not become a customer yet and they are known to you, they are leads, and we want to nurture them to become customers. Okay. So that's that buyer's journey that we're talking about. So awareness, consideration, decision. Once they decide to work with you and become your customer, they actually give you money. They have now become a customer. They're not a customer until they've given you money. When they become a customer, then they move into your customer database. All right, so Kara, who joined us, yay, Kara, thank you for joining us. She has a question, and I am going to answer it. Kara said, what about my welcome to the newsletter emails that go out when someone joins the newsletter list? Would that be considered in this space? Yes, it would. It and if and I don't know your welcome, your first email in your welcome series, or your sorry, your the first email, the welcome email. I don't know why that was being so awkward to come out. Sorry about that. I don't know what yours looks like. I do know what your newsletter looks like, and Kara has a really good newsletter. Super proud of her newsletter. But the you should think about that automatic email that sends when somebody joins your mailing list as a part of your awareness communication, because you don't know where they are, right? But they're going to, you're going to parse that group into people who are, they're just newsletter subscribers and you don't see any other movement, to they're starting to maybe visit your website. They might schedule time to talk with you. Um, that's when they kind of move away from being a subscriber to being a lead. but I would consider anybody that signs up for your newsletter in the very beginning a lead. And your email is a part of that broader communication about who you are and what you do. Now, a little suggestion for anybody who has a newsletter that people can sign up for, visitors can sign up for. This is the number one. It's the easiest thing. It takes nothing. It takes maybe a first name and an email address for them to sign up to be on your newsletter. But that is how they become known to you, a known visitor when they're on your website. So with that, you want to make sure that there is a welcome email that goes out. And in that welcome email, first, deliver on whatever the promise was for your newsletter sign up. And what I mean by that is if on your website you say, sign up to hear from me, that's not a good call to action on email subscription. But let's say, sign up to hear from me. Well, then that welcome email needs to, there could be, you could have double opt-in where you've got, they need to take an action to truly opt in for the newsletter. And in a lot of systems, those are pretty generic. You don't really need to mess with them. If you can edit them a little bit, you can make them more personal, but they haven't actually opted into your newsletter yet. So if you have a double opt-in, you make sure that that happens. But then, regardless if you have the double opt-in or not, make sure that there is a welcome email that if it is just to hear from me, and Kara, I'm going to use you as an example, but have that be a welcome letter from Kara, not from Kara's automated email system that has generated this email and you have been successfully subscribed. That is not hearing from me. Remember, me, very personal. Um, I don't find that to be a very compelling CTA, especially if I don't know who Kara is, to hear from me. But if you add a little bit more to it, if you would like to receive regular updates and my suggestions on travel and hear about the latest promotions and itineraries, I know I'm just throwing a bunch of things into the mix. Then sign up for this email. The welcome email needs to talk about those things. So what does that look like? What are some of the things that I should expect? What is Kara's voice like? Maybe in that welcome series, it links to a very popular blog article, uh, uh, especially if you're saying, hear about, get some of my expert advice, right? Point them in the direction of some of that expert advice right now when they're in the welcome email, right? Don't wait until you push something out. Put it in that welcome email. You can also, and I would strongly urge you do this, even if you don't have a how to work with me on your website as a main navigation page, you should have that somewhere. It could be a blog article. It could be a page that just isn't connected to that top navigation on the website. But have a page that talks about here's what to expect in working with me and planning your travel, right? And you want to make it not you don't want to over romanticize it, but you also don't want to make it so technical that it sounds like a real drag, like a flow chart. Make it fun and sprinkle in your brand's personality. And for many of you, if you're a solopreneur, it's your personality. Try to not be so formal, try to be very personal. But in this welcome email, have a link to that page on your website. Maybe that's the only way they get to that page is through signing up to the newsletter. Or if they actually start to talk to you, you can say, let me send you a link to just kind of reinforce what I've talked about in terms of what the process looks like of working with me. It's a very helpful page to have in your marketing or on your website. So I strongly urge you to have something like that in that welcome email because to Kara's point, she's asking, is that welcome email part of the awareness stage? And it is. It is. But it's also welcoming them to a free service you provide called your email subscription list. See how I did that? It's a gift that you're giving via the inbox. I like to say I've used it on a couple of websites. Subscribe to get some of my email goodness. Again, I don't think that that's enough. If they don't know who you are, that's not enough to hook them in. But I do like thinking about email goodness or inbox goodness. I do like having that frame of mind for your email newsletter. So anyway, Kara, I hope that answers your question. And it sounds like you're on the right track with thinking about that way. It is the awareness stage, but they're going to split off into uh, the consideration stage either sooner or later. So your email newsletter is really, or that email subscription list is really all awareness all awareness stage content, but it's also the delivery of your promotional content, your events, your newsletter. It's a service that you provide, but it all kind of fits within awareness. The consideration stage is the deeper content. And here's an example. So let's go back to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Uh, they want to go to Hawaii. They have found your website because you have information on Hawaii. You said that you are an expert in Hawaii. Now, maybe you have on your website a free download about uh, picking the style of Hawaiian I don't know why I said Hawaiian, Hawaiian vacation. Okay, because that does matter. Those of you who sell Hawaii, you know that there's a lot to do in Hawaii, and there's different ways of exploring the islands. So maybe you've created a little white paper, a little ebook. Some people don't like to call it an ebook because it needs to be highly produced. It could simply be a Word document that you've saved as a PDF. And maybe you've thrown in a few pictures of your personal travel to make it more personal. I'm just throwing out some ideas here. But you have now created content that is very specific to someone who is wanting to uh, do buy a type of a travel experience. I'm lost my words today. I see Erica has a comment, so I'm going to get there in just a second. Maybe she's got better words than I have. But that ebook that is very specific to what you sell, and you know that somebody downloads that ebook, what would that content be called? That would be the consideration stage content. Okay. So now we already know they're aware of you, but now, even if they haven't talked to you, you now know that they're considering a trip to Hawaii. So so it doesn't necessarily have to be something like a downloadable. It could be blog articles that you've written about Hawaii. Now, you may ask, how do I know? I understand if they download something, they've maybe been sent to a landing page where I know that they've come from that landing page. That's how they've downloaded this particular piece of information. That's a little easier. But blog content, how is that consideration stage? Well, it also helps with the awareness stage. If someone's searching for Hawaii, then they might get into the blog, and then that's how they get into your newsletter. But what I like to do on for consideration, or to understand if someone's in that consideration stage, is on the blog article that's about the specific type of travel. I like to put a contact form, an inquiry form specific to that. We're just going to say category of travel, style of travel. So when that form comes in, because I can have multiple forms on my website, they could all have the same questions, but I title those forms different. So I know that this is coming from my Hawaii stream, or this is coming from my Disney stream, or this is coming from my Japan content, right? So those forms, when they come in, I know if Mr. and Mrs. Jones are contacting me from one of those pages, chances are that's exactly what they're thinking about. And even on the form, you could say, contact me to set up time to talk about the 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 best way to plan a Hawaii vacation, something like that. So then it's not even just an internal cue to you that they're interested, they're considering Hawaii. They're also confirming that by filling out that form. I hope that makes sense. The thing about these sessions is I am riffing on the topic based on either feedback or questions that you guys are asking. And also, I'm drawing on the real life scenarios that are surrounding me today. So a culmination of things that I've collected through stories of working with different advisors and agency owners over the years, to even the things that are happening right now for people or even for myself. So that's where you get all this. I hate the word webinar, but I'm gonna say webinar goodness. All right, Erica, I'm gonna pop over to you. If you guys don't know, Erica Scanelli is our director of member development here at WorldVia, and I adore her. If you have joined in these sessions before, even though she's not required, she watches these sessions on some Saturdays. I hope she's doing many other things, but she joins us. And the thing that I love about Erica is she is a fount of knowledge. And I go to her and have gone to her ever since I joined the travel industry for wisdom and guidance on all things travel. So I can't wait to see what she has to say. So Erica said, think about things you can still template for these very personal emails. For example, well, this is good. I already know. Mr. Smith, I know you're still thinking about which flight works better, i.e., one truly personal line. But in the meantime, why don't you download Blue Hawaii on iTunes this weekend to get in the spirit? Same thing to every Hawaii lead. Yes, I love that. Ugh, Erica. Ugh, yes. So what Erica's saying, she's saying have a bunch of these templates in the can, whether you have them in your CRM, or if you don't have a CRM yet, you have them in your Apple Notes or a Word document. And there you're breaking up the consideration content. And when you're ready to speak to Mr. Smith, you grab the Blue Hawaii on iTunes email, and you just cut and paste that in. You can personalize it. One line can be very personalized based on where they're at in the process. But then you've got something fun that's already in the can. And by templating it, which this speaks to travel marketeering, you're systematizing everything. If you did not do that, you would have to think, okay, Mr. Smith, what what can I say that's fun and punchy to get them excited? So you go and come up with an idea. And then a month later, you have somebody else that's in the same place as Mr. Smith. why would you have to go, oh, let me think about that person now? If you've got something in the can, you can churn it out super fast. And for those of you who are working with a virtual assistant or a personal assistant, that's stuff that they can start to push out for you because you've built this library, this repository of content, these templates that you can use that are fun. They continue telling the story of your brand, and they're engaging. Whether it's pointing them to iTunes or it's pointing them to your YouTube channel. Okay, maybe they didn't even know you had a YouTube channel. Here's how you can get them kind of engaged in things. Maybe you got a ukulele out and you are singing Blue Hawaii. Is Blue Hawaii I feel like you can do just about anything in a ukulele. I don't know. I'll have to ask our Christopher because he has the ukulele I bought during the pandemic, thinking I was going to learn how to play the ukulele. That didn't happen. Erica, thank you so much for that. And This is Erica. Erica said super tangents because I sometimes go on super tangents. That's where all those riffs come from. So super tangents is what we're labeling them kindly, so it doesn't sound like I meander. Anyway, I do hope you're getting some good stuff out of it. And Erica also said, also critical to not give away your best material yet. Save that for your bookers. Really good point. See, this is a fount of knowledge. Sorry, I have keys in my pocket, so that were bothering me. Erica's suggesting don't give away your best material yet. Save that for your bookers. So think about things that are things that you could even put in a social post, right? They're not, I don't want to say your deepest, darkest secrets, but they're not the super, super advice that is saved for your tribe, your fans of your brand, your bookers, right? They need to get something different from what everybody else in the world could get. So I like what Eric is saying, suggesting here is give give little crumbs, but save the meal for after they've booked. Yeah. So I hope this makes sense. Awareness stage, make sure they're aware of who you are, what you do, keep on communicating with them. Be super, super frequent about those communications. That needs to be a steady. Somebody once said to me, and it's stuck, marketing needs to be a steady precipitation, not a monsoon. Meaning, most of us will do marketing in these, okay, now I'm going to market the heck out of this thing right now. And then I'm going to get busy with my work, my clients, and then I got to come back and do another big dump of rain. No, steady precipitation. The marketing is steadily flowing. Then when you get down to the consideration stage, you're creating content that is more specific and it's helping people get to the decision stage. You want to get people into that decision stage, right? So this is where the longer form content, you could even host webinars that are about first time river cruisers. Guess what? If you have people that have not river cruised before, they have no idea what they're in for. I love river cruising, but I'm just saying, I had been on an ocean cruise and then I went on river cruising and I was like, whoa, 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 stop, stop, stop. I can't eat whenever I want to eat. I'm just saying that was my experience. I hope you have a laugh if you are a river cruise person. But I'm just saying, webinar content is and even Facebook Lives that's consideration stage content. So you're talking about specific things a little more in depth. And the people who are engaging in that content are starting to indicate they're in that consideration stage. Now, my preference would always be to have my consideration content gated in some way. So for the majority of my consideration content, I do think that blog content helps with awareness, but it also is consideration content. But the webinars, the ebooks, the white papers, things like that, I like to have those gated so I know when somebody has jumped into the consideration stage. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to nurture them to the decision stage. I might uh, I might have people, which is a great thing, to have people just jump right into deciding whether or not they're going to hire you. Okay, they filled out an inquiry form, so they just jump to the decision stage. But what I don't like about that, and if you have anybody in your database that just came from out of the blue and became a decision stage person, I'm so happy for you because that's what a great thing. But what you don't know is how they got to that decision stage. You were not a part of the conversation. You weren't even invited to that conversation. And the reason why I say red flag there is because how many people have have done the same things that that person did to make the decision, but they didn't make the decision. So when you start to create content that's thinking about awareness stage, consideration stage, decision stage, when you start to break it up like that, you have the ability to look at what's working and what's not working. If you don't even have the option for people to sign up for emails, you just have for them to either call you or submit a form to inquire about business. Guess what? There's a heck of a lot of people that are scrolling through the web, and they might be prime for you. Oh, well, not prime for you. They might be almost there, but they're not ready to talk to you. So they move on, they get distracted, they can't remember the website. But if they are able to, on their iPad or on their phone, sign up for an email really quick, then for them, it's almost like ticking a checklist. They're like, okay, I know that they'll send me emails. So then they'll be in my inbox. And then when I'm at home and I can think about my trip or whatever, then I'll explore their website further. So you got to have ways for people to become known to you. And that email list to me is the number one way, especially for your website. Okay, so Althea said, how do I start making a newsletter or even a blog? I am new and I'm not a writer. Are there some resources I can use? If this isn't a great question for this session, that's okay. I appreciate the heck out of you. I absolutely do. Um, if I start to talk about that, that would be a super, super tangent. But I think you are not alone. I think several other people who are watching this right now are thinking the same thing because so much of what I'm talking about is hinging on you already having these tactics, these vehicles established. So I can say for you, Althea, you are a member of World Via. So there is a lot of content that our team has done specifically around these topics. And I am doing travel marketing sessions on these things. So, Althea, I'm going to write this down because I do have your contact information. And I am going to send you an email with pointing you to some of the things that I know you already have access to and let you know what might be coming up. Okay. Insider information just for you. Okay. But I'll make sure that I do that. And guys, if you're watching this right now, Althea is already my customer. Okay. So that she's already my customer. But what I am doing right now, if she was not my customer, would be uh, could be decision stage content. It's that bottom line consideration. So she knows, she's aware, she's already skipped that stage. But forget about her being a member of our host agency. Okay, just forget about that. I'm just talking about if this was a webinar that you were doing about something and one of your attendees had this question. Now, it could be anything. It could be a webinar on what to expect with river cruising. And Althea could have said, how do I find out more information about planning a trip to Hawaii? Whoa, 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 we're in river cruise. No river cruising in Hawaii, right? So I could say, Althea, I am going to send you, now we're getting into that one-on-one communication here. And that type of content or that I'd be the communication that I'd be doing, that's that I'm considering, and I'm going to get her to make that decision. In this case, it's to the decision that she's making is to get her newsletter started and her blog, right? So anyway, I just wanted to point that out as the types of ways that you can. She could have come in on the river cruise, but now she's indicating that she is considering Hawaii, and I need to get her to the decision stage. So by the time I email her content about the Hawaii trip, then guess what? She's in decision making land. Does that make sense? All right. Thank you, Althea. Let's see. I've got to clear this up here. All right. So Kara, she said, so most of lead nurturing boils down to tracking where they are in the process and using email or automated emails to communicate them. Am I understanding this correctly? Yes. And yes. Yes. A lot of the thing that you don't know if you're not creating automated communications, especially in the awareness stage, is you don't know when they move to other stages until they get down to the point where they're saying, hey, I want to talk to you about this trip. I want to work with you to see if I can be a customer. That's not how they would say it, right? But the systematizing of your nurturing really does boil down to automating your email marketing, and making sure you speak to people at the right speak to them in with the content that is appropriate for the stage that they're in. Once you get down to consideration, then that's where it's not automated, but that's where you're looking for that very specific content. That's where I get down to those webinars, the ebooks, the white papers. You're getting there's a little more. They're getting more invested in you. It's still you're still not in active conversations with them yet. Once they get into active conversations, that's that decision stage, whether or not they're going to work with you, they're going to purchase from you. When you get into that decision stage, that's very one-to-one. And that's why I love what Erica chimed in on, is that you're not necessarily doing automated emails. You might set up reminders of when to check in with a client. But what she suggested is, have the personalized piece of communication, and then also have something fun that you've got in the can ready to give them. Communication in the decision-making stage is also those conversations that you have. The conversation you have in the decision-making stage is very different from conversations you have when somebody's already a customer, right? So you're still selling them on working with you. you're still trying to make sure that they see that you are a good fit for them and that this trip that you put together is a right fit for them. Does that make sense? So it's very automated at the top. Then we start to get into how do we know that they moved down to the consideration stage? Now, if you talk to somebody, you know where they are in their process. Most of the people that you actually talk to are at the consideration stage when you first talk to them. And then it depends on where that conversation goes, how quickly they're going to get to the decision-making stage to choose you, right? Choose me. You're gonna love me, right? So I hope that helps. Let's see here. And Erica said, I'd add, Kara, that if you tackle your communications, that there are two separate phases from awareness to consideration is a huge step. This is real, the more you know level of acquisition marketing. Erica, do you want to just take over the travel marketing sessions? Because you're much more succinct than I am. Anyway, thank you, Erica, for chiming in. Again, if you start to look at your communications in this very structured way of nurturing your leads um, by these different stages, I guarantee you are going to beat out your competitors. And another thing, if it's done well, you really take the price out of the equation. That might be a very polarizing statement to make, but I would hazard to guess if you are creating content that whether it's attracting people to your website, and then they decide to stay engaged with you to get emails from you, then you've told a good story. You've gotten them to that point. Then through your emails, if you get them to take specific actions to help you know where they are, what they're interested in, or that they are really considering making purchasing from you, working with you, uh, if you create this whole ecosystem, I know you're at that point, you're not even talking about the price of things. You're not really getting into that information. They're investing, or they're becoming invested in you and your business. Once someone is invested in a business and a brand, price factors very little in that decision making. Okay. And now, that doesn't mean that, oh, I have a budget and then all of a sudden I don't have a budget because I love Erica and she's so good at her communication. She told me to download Blue Hawaii, right? It doesn't mean that I have unlimited budget. Um, but if I am invested in this brand, I'm going to find a way to work with you, uh, and that is very, very powerful. That's very powerful. So then when you are ready to do your good, better, best pricing options, when you actually put the proposals together, or just having that initial conversation to say, here's what it would look like, good, better, best, to get down to creating a proposal. Uh, it's more than just the proposal they're looking at. They're now in your brand, and that's exactly where you want them to be. I hope that makes sense. And think about it. I always like if I'm talking about marketing, I can be very directive when I'm talking about it. And when you're talking about travel marketing, um, then I try to be as specific as I can within the travel space. But sometimes that still feels foreign. So think about in your own life as a consumer, the brands that you are invested in. And these could be new brands to you, or they could be legacy brands. They could be brands that have been around forever. They're a part of the world. Everyone knows the brand, right? There's certain things that you're willing to do uh, or spend based on brand. And I'm going to use an example. Hopefully, this isn't polarizing, but I remember the joke used to be you go into Target for one thing and you walk out several $100s later with a bunch of other things. I remember that. I mean, now that's been decades we've been saying that, but that is something that I can say as a consumer. I have gone in for Windex and I have walked out with I'm remodeling my lounge to have shag carpet and now I'm only going to do gold accents everywhere. I that has happened to me. And I do that there, but I don't do that at CVS, right? So it's acceptable for me to me because Target as a brand has made a promise to me as a consumer and they have delivered on it repeatedly. And that's where they win. So I give you that as an example because that same rule for me does not apply to Walmart. Very, very similar stores, very similar experiences, but the brand of Walmart does not suck me in the way that Target does. I I'm not ashamed of the fact that I have gone over budget on my spend at Target, but it doesn't feel like they've manipulated me. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like I just didn't know that I needed to change my lounge to have shag carpet and gold accents. Thank you, Target, for suggesting that because it's forever changed my style. All right, that was a super tangent, but Erica's going to bring us back on task here. Erica said, this is also the way to clear your path to the niche or products you really want to work with. Very, very true. Um, Anybody could sign up for your newsletter. Anybody could follow you on social media, and that's okay. They and they might be looking for travel that you don't do, right? That's okay. They can still be part of your database because at some point they might be. You might do destination weddings and somebody signs up for your email list and they ain't getting married anytime soon. They're not even dating anyone, but something about your brand they've clung on to. So when they do meet that magnificent other and they do decide to take that destination wedding, then they're starting to move down into through your content and start to align with your niche. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Erica, you are keeping me on task today. Erica said Target does visual merchandising, what Walmart doesn't. Imagery is powerful in purchasing. You are that's very, very true. In fact, I love that you bring up visual merchandising um, with Target. I think everybody on the call has been to Walmart or Target, right? I hope. Uh, but she's right. The visual merchandising in Target, they have fewer products at Target. They have some of the same categories, some of the same, but there is a lot of visual merchandising. And so much so, and now I haven't been to Target in a while, um, but pretty consistently, when you walk in, there are uh, uh, posters hanging from the ceiling. There, within each department, they seasonally they're changing out the images and the colors and things like that in the top portion of their display cabinets, right? So throughout the store, visually, within their red anchor, then they have these pictures. I see these happy people. They're in their coats, right? And I start to gravitate towards that. Half of the time, especially with the clothing, uh, what is on the poster is not even available in the store because they obviously picked the best stuff and that's already moved. My point in bringing this up is when you go to Target next, I would like you to experience that. I would really like you to look because you probably are subliminally being sucked in to making these purchases or moving into this particular area of the store. I feel like you might now know where I'm going, okay? So I want you to experience that, and then I want you to go back to your website, and I want you to say, how can I apply visual merchandising to my website? Because I am a store with beautiful services and products to offer. How do I get somebody to spend more time on my website, diving deeper and deeper? And how do I push them into the direction of contacting me or considering me, putting me in the consideration for working with me on a trip that you want to plan, right? Think about how you are merchandising your website. Use the target method. Don't be Walmart. Don't expect them to know I need to click here because this is where it's going to tell me what this person does, right? I need to click the services because that is the natural step that I would take on the website. No, point them in the direction where you want them to go. It's the bystander effect. You have to tell people what you want them to do. I want you to go over here. I want you to be mesmerized by this video here. I want you to then fill out this form and download this book. I want you to sign up for this my email that is going to give you all this goodness in your inbox that you're going to be so loved up in travel, and it's going to be better than anything else out there on the web. Oh, I feel like I got a little up about that one. All right. Uh, so think about merchandising your site, merchandising your emails, merchandising your social media. There used to be, I don't think it's 9 anymore, but on Instagram, the rule was to take your, let me see if I can grab mine. Uh, it's more than, yeah, it's way more than 9. To take here, I've got my Instagram, right? Um, and oops. And a good gauge is to do the first series of pictures. This is obviously my personal Instagram, right? Because my face is everywhere. But take a look at your Instagram right now. Just whip it out. Whip out your Instagram. Show us what you got. Is when you look at your Instagram, does it signal what you sell? Is it attractive? Is it is it conveying the story that you want to tell? If you do family vacations, do you have photos of whether it's your family or families that you have sent on trips? Do we see that? Does it say I do family travel here? um, because this is a part of the awareness and consideration content too, depending on, if somebody's already, if they're going to follow you, that initial post is whatever the post is that they actually decide to follow you on. That's awareness content, but also the content that I'm constantly feeding is helping to deliver or to explain what my promise is as a brand. And then if I'm in the consideration stage, maybe every fourth post is something that's a little meatier, and maybe points them to, join a webinar, join or download an ebook, right? So you're getting some of that consideration content there. But do a quick view like this. You can also scroll through your last few posts on Facebook and see, what am I talking about here? Is it clear? And if I were somebody who didn't know who I was or who my business was, would I get what I do? Or have I made it too vague? Or is it so bland that it's exactly what other agencies have on their site or on their social media? And that happens a lot, especially if you use, there's some suppliers that have great content, great photos, videos that you can use, and they encourage you to use it on their social media, um, or on your social media. Uh, and I say definitely go and use it, especially if you don't have that type of content. But if you do use their content, sprinkle in some of your own photos that you've taken. Um, make sure, because the content that they're creating is awareness content or consideration content for their specific product, but their product is only a component of what's in your treasure chest. So we need to make sure that you're telling your story on your social media channels, and you're mixing that in with some of that supplier content. Because if you just have supplier content, it does, there's, I don't have any, I can't quantify this at all, but there are, subliminally, I do believe that when we see content that looks like it is stock photography, we're okay with it a little bit. But when it looks like that is the main story, that is what somebody is using on their digital platforms, uh, it there's also, is this a fake account? So we're kind of jaded in that sense, right? We've seen too much of that, so we get a little jaded. So you want to, if you use a supplier's piece of content, make sure you wrap it around, if you post on Instagram, you add your own content to the post itself. You say, I love working with this property in Cancun for destination weddings, because as you can see, the little touches are so special, something like that. So now I've put my stamp on it. Another agency is not going to do that. Okay. And then as far as your own content, if you don't have photos of what you currently want to sell, your niche, that's okay. I've talked about this before when I've talked about social media. There are ways, if you are, some of you think that you're not photogenic, and I don't buy it, but I'll go along with this ruse if you want me to. And I'll just say there are ways to create photos without you even being in it that speak to your niche. You just have to think out of the box. That's a topic for another day, but make sure that you incorporate, it's your website, it's your email, it's your social media, it's webinars, it's ebooks. All of these things help nurture your leads. They also help with another important piece of your overall marketing, and that is nurturing your customers. So we've done all this work to find people. Maybe we've done pay-per-click advertising on social media. We've done SEM marketing, search engine marketing, where we're paying Google to serve up our ads in search. We have created content out the wazoo. Did you see how I did that? I combined wazoo yeah, that's content and wazoo, kazoo. We've done all this work for them to become a customer. They bought the trip. They have more trips in their life, I guarantee you. They are going to go through different stages in their life. You're going to evolve your business. If you guys saw the conversation I had with Laura Legg a few weeks ago, I keep going back to that because I thought we had a great time, but here's somebody who had been in business for a few years, and what she started with is not where she wants to focus today. But she's building her business to nurture customers, those customers that came in for anything, the original things that she was focused on, she now has other advisors, associates who are working on those. Now she has moved on to the more luxury side of things, or not necessarily luxury, but the bigger ticket sales. Um, Through her journey, she has customers that are also at that stage too. They're spending a little bit more on their trips. So her, for everybody, but just nurturing your customers with the same type of content, giving them options to indicate to you that they might not be, if you look at it, if you take those buyers, the buyer journey, awareness, consideration, decision, if you apply that to future purchases, wow, I'm having a hard time today. Uh, you want to continue to nurture your customers to where they can let you know when they're considering choosing you for another trip. So that's why I was saying keep your nurture the lead nurturing. So lead, not a customer. Okay. Lead nurturing is someone who has not bought from you, has not booked with you. Customer has. So they have a life, a journey with you, right? They've already become a customer. So now you're nurturing them to buy more, to work with you more. So you want to keep your marketing stream really steady. Some of that is going to be awareness content, but it's also going to be awareness content to your existing customers. They might not know that you now offer guided tours through Ireland. You are the guide, okay? You need to make them aware of that. When somebody responds back and says, wow, I didn't know you did this, I'm considering this. They're now in the consideration stage, but they're already a customer. So the conversation is different. Now, from an awareness stage, you've created more of a broad message. But now they're talking to you. Do you have to talk about the process of working with you with that person? No, they already know you're an expert. That's why they chose you in the first place for whatever trip they purchased from you before, right? So you're not you need to craft messages. And I love what Erica suggested about templating those messages. The more systematized you get, the faster you can move, the faster someone who is in consideration stage goes to decision stage on that specific trip. So again, it's you're going to beat everyone else, all of your competitors, by simply breaking down your communications and the marketing that you're creating into those three stages. And going back to what Erica said, save the best for your inner circle, your customers. You there you can give little things to the world and you can position it in a way that it feels like you're giving all the keys to the kingdom, but you know that you have not. You have given them a day pass to the kingdom. The keys to the kingdom only come when they're a customer of yours. I hope that makes sense. All right, let's see. Erica, I feel like we should just can you want to co-host? Do you want to co-host on the travel marketeering session? I feel like she's coming for my job here. She said, totally agree. You want to flaunt that you are a small business with access to the biggest brands. If your page looks like a brand, it looks like brand name, right? Junior, the customer will just flip to the real thing. Oh, I'm glad that you said that. If if a brand that you work with can be purchased direct, if you are just pushing out all of their marketing, then why not? Why do I need to book with you? Right? I don't. So you have to put your stamp on content that you're using from a brand and sometimes it can be a brand that isn't a consumer brand. Someone like Europe Express, a customer cannot buy direct from Europe Express, but you're not even advertising Europe Express, right? It's the destinations and the experiences that you can deliver through their product. But they do create content for you to use. So even though they're creating that content, it's going to look more produced than, say, what you create when you do Europe, right? So you need to make sure that you have a nice blend, a nice blend. And I do feel like, Althea had mentioned it about blog content, newsletters, social media. There is so much more that we can unpack with these travel marketing sessions. And I do hope if there is a specific topic, because this is, Althea is one of the members of World Via Travel Network. So I can point her in the direction of some of the things that our members have access to. But travel marketing sessions is opened up to the world. We have suppliers who join us. We have people who are a part of other host agencies or just independent agents altogether. So if there is a topic that you would like for us to hit in travel marketing, please email me, joshua@worldvia.com, and our team will figure out the schedule, what we've got schedule coming up, and then we will see what we can work in here. But for most of us, talking about making a good website, making great emails, making good social media content, it's pretty evergreen. And a lot of best practices uh, evolve over time. So it's something that we could talk about every quarter for sure. But let me know what you like, what you love. And what I'd love to do right now before we wrap up is, were there any aha moments that you had, or were there any nuggets in this session that you're going to leave with and you're like, yeah, that's something I can do today? I'd love for you to share that. While you're gathering your thoughts on that, I would love to invite you to join our Travel Marketeering Facebook group, Travel Marketeer Facebook group. I think that's where people get confused. I get messages all the time that they couldn't find the private Facebook group. Go to Facebook, search Travel Marketeers, Marketeers. Go there, and you just fill out the form to join as a private Facebook group. All are welcome. All are welcome. Love to have you there. And from there, you're going to get access to some content that is maybe something new that we're putting together, and we want you to have access to it first. But come join and talk to each other, because that's where true inspiration can come from, is the collaboration between individuals. You could be in London and collaborating with somebody in Sandy Springs, Georgia, right? That's the beauty of the world that we live in. All right. Kara said, marketing should be a steady precipitation, not a monsoon. That's her aha moment. She said, I fall into I have a few hours. I'll do a bunch all right now and then be radio silent for a month on social media marketing. You and everybody else, Kara, um, and just on the social media thing, and especially when you say a few hours, um, the I wrote a book a few years back, and whenever I go down a new path, I always become a super sleuth in trying to find out as much information as I can. I mean, I attack it like I like a dog with a sock that I'm going to destroy within hours, right? Like I'm a velociraptor. I am like trying to consume as much as I can. And when I knew nothing about writing a book. So I ended up down all these different rabbit holes. And one rabbit hole was someone who her niche was writing books and creating content around people writing books. That was her customer. That's who our customer was. So, she's putting out all this content. Something that she said, because she was speaking to writers, and writers have to write when they can write, and sometimes they're writing in they need to meet a deadline. Maybe it's a personal deadline or it's their publisher deadline, but they have to work to get this massive thing done. It's a body of work that they're working on. But you can't do that stop and start, or your audience gets disengaged. Then when you're ready to promote something and you start tapping into social media, they're like, oh, this person only wants to talk to me when they're selling something, right? I mean, I'm sure you've experienced that before. Um, Her piece of advice for writers out there, which I think applies to every single entrepreneur, whether they are full-time in their business or part-time in their business, um, and it definitely speaks to travel marketeering and creating those systems that you can schedule time to do this. But she suggested, if Sunday morning, maybe you've got a whole house full of kids and magnificent other, whatever. Uh, if there are 2 hours on that Sunday, when everybody's still asleep, schedule that time and then schedule your posts out for the week, which I'm sure you do, Kara. But the Meta Suite with Facebook and Instagram combined, which is free, the Meta Suite with Facebook, you can schedule your posts. And just taking those 2 hours and or 1 hour and scheduling 5 posts for the week. I'm sure you've got enough photos in your camera roll that you can do that. I'm sure you have different things that you want to promote. I'm sure you have enough of those that you could at least create 5 and schedule those. And then next Sunday, do for the next week. Now, eventually you might get to, I'm going to spend 4 hours one Sunday a month and schedule out my whole month. But baby steps, baby steps. Otherwise, it's just you're sitting there watching The Rings of Power on Prime, and it's in the corner. It's saying, I need to do social media marketing. And it's just calling to you, and you have to ignore it because you're watching this TV show. But it is right there, and the whole time you can't really enjoy this program because your social media or your lack of social media marketing is over there in the corner haunting you. So carve out that time and block out that space. And Erica said, I bet everyone is tweaking the forms on the bottom of their pages. That is a brilliant and easy way to improve your marketing intel. I like that, the marketing intel. And Jeff said, love the analogy between Target and Walmart and the connection with visual awareness. Well, I'm just glad that I have people like Erica in my life who can take something that an analogy that I create and actually make it make sense. So Erica, again, thank you for being a part of this session. And I'm going to wrap on Althea saying visual merchandising, marketing, your website, your email, your social media. I'm currently redoing my website with Sites. That's a product that we offer at WorldVia. And thank you for the session. This is all new to me. Marketing is new to me, especially marketing myself. Very challenging. I really appreciate everyone's input. And I could not say it better myself. So thank you, everybody, for joining live. And or if you're watching this on demand, please, again, most Saturdays, I'm doing these sessions 8:30 Eastern time. Please join me. Each week, it's a different topic. You will definitely see some consistent themes and what I'm talking about. But please join live because you can participate not only if you want to ask me specific questions, but even your take on maybe some of the topics that we're talking about, because that does inspire other people. So please join us live. Watch on demand. You can find our channel on YouTube. Just search for World Via Travel Network. And Anne-Marie, I see. Thank you. Learning so much. I am so glad. So everybody, have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you again for joining. And we'll see you next Saturday. All right. Take care. Speak to you real soon. Bye.